right now and talk to Democratic Congressman from Maryland and ranking member of the House Budget Committee, Representative Chris Van Hollen. Chris, things seem so placid in Washington,
D.C. And polite.
Well, except for that one email.
I was just going to say, Joe, they're making our budget debate look very tame and very boring.
Very, very boring. But let's talk about the news that broke yesterday. The president had some kind words to say about the Senate Gang of Six's budget plans. It's a broad outline. There are some specifics, but mainly just guideposts. What do you and the House leadership on the Democratic side think of this?
Well, Joe, I give these guys a lot of credit for coming together around the table in a bipartisan way to try and hammer things out. And what we're doing is taking a close look at it because, as you said, there's still a lot of details that have not come out. The overall framework mirrors what the president was really trying to do, and in some ways what the Speaker of the House was apparently trying to do, which is to get a big deal in a balanced way. So that's the good news. Again, the details still have to come out, and as Senator Durbin, a member of the Gang of Six, said yesterday, they don't have any legislative language. It hasn't been scored by CBO, and so the question is, you know, what can be done between now and August 2nd, if anything, with this plan, or do we need to continue to proceed with a backup plan, Plan B?
Well, Chris, I was going to ask earlier, last hour, Steve Ratner, who is with us here, had suggested that if this plan were to go forward, obviously there would have to be a month or 2-month extension just to allow the committee chairmen and chairwomen in the House and the Senate to do their business. This would be the most dramatic reform of entitlement systems in the tax code possibly since the Reagan era. So there would have to be an extension of time for the debt ceiling, would there not?
Yeah, I think that's right. We would have to work out some interim arrangement if we were to proceed down that road. And again, exactly what the timeline would be and that sort of question would remain to be seen. But look, the good news provides some additional momentum to the idea of getting something big done. Again, I haven't seen every detail. I'm not sure I would agree with every detail, but the overall concept takes us in the right direction.
And the right neighborhood, Mika. We're talking about a $3.7 trillion deal. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect. It's not going to make either side happy. But if we could get close to $4 trillion in debt reduction, that would send a pretty good signal to the markets for some time.
The only thing that I question, Steve Ratner, is if there is some sort of interim arrangement, does that add more uncertainty to the overall economic picture that we don't need?
Look, the market yesterday was incredibly excited about this plan. The stock market had a great day. The bond market had a good day. The stock market's going to at least start off with another good day today. I think the market is really excited that there may be a break in this gridlock. And so if the market were told, look, it's another month or two, but this is where we're going, I think the market would be absolutely fine with that. I mean, my question for the congressman is, yes, there are a lot of details that we don't know, but this is very similar to Bol Simpson. We know basically what's in this plan. Do you think that you can get these House Republicans to break away from the pledge that they've all taken?
Well, that is the major question because, as we heard on the floor of the House yesterday during debate, they have not moved off this point, which is that you cannot have one penny coming from either closing tax loopholes or raising revenues somewhere else go for the purpose of deficit reduction. And of course, that's exactly what this Gang of Six plan does. It raises approximately $1 trillion. It does it by reducing the rates and closing some loopholes and, frankly, taking down some very popular deductions. That does violate what the House Republicans have said.
So, Congressman, that leads to the next question, obviously, and I'm sure you guys have been talking about it a good bit. If you don't get the 90 or so Republican freshmen, are there going to be enough Democrats to work together with John Boehner and Republican chairmen and chairwomen and other leaders in that caucus to get the 218 votes you need to pass this, if it passes the Senate?
Well, Joe, here's the point. People really do need to digest what's in there, and we still haven't seen the full plan. I mean, yesterday A lot of us were calling over to Senator Conrad's office and others asking for more detail, and they said that that detail would be forthcoming in the next couple days. So it's really hard to get our caucus to focus on this without some of the detail.
Well,
because
and that's certainly understandable. I guess the question, though, that you will be asked if you push for any deal with these broad outlines from members of your own Democratic caucus would be, why are we doing the Republican freshmen's work for them? Why are we taking the tough votes and allowing them to go home and demagogue against Democrats who run against them about how they were too pure to vote to increase the debt ceiling?
Well, that debate certainly will go on in the Democratic caucus, but I think the overwhelming majority of members of our caucus want to make sure that America can pay its bills after August 2nd. In fact, a big chunk of our caucus has already said, without any conditions, let's raise the debt ceiling. So I think our guys want to do what I think most of us think is the responsible thing, which is to say the United States has to pay for the bills for obligations we've already incurred. Obviously, these are bills that need to be paid on decisions that Congress has already made in the past, right or wrong. So just like no family can wake up and decide, I'm not going to pay that bill, I'm only going to pay that bill. I think our members on the Democratic side are prepared to deal with that question. Now, whether they're prepared to accept something along the lines of the Gang of Six proposal will depend on the details, and that's why it's so important that we get them quickly. I think we all agree, and Senator Durbin said it himself the other day, we're not going to be able to squeeze that whole plan into a debate between now and August 2nd. I think we recognize that. So the question is going to be, do you do something short-term? The downside of doing something short-term is it puts you on this sort of month-to-month potentially on the debt ceiling, and that can continue to create a lot of uncertainty. So let's see where this takes us in the next 48 hours. We still need to proceed with Plan B in case this thing unravels.
All right, Congressman Chris Van Hollen, thank you for being with us. And why don't you propose that we have President's Hour, question hour on the floor of the House? I would absolutely love that.
I'd like to have the debt discussed that way. It would have been so fabulous.
Thank you, Chris. Coming up.
Thank you so